If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 29 of Horsin' Around right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with co-host and good friend from Bettin' and Boozin' and the author of our new Del Mar only Power Picks, Mr. Noah Maher. Noah, I know you've been traveling around the country going to different weddings all summer. You had a great time. Your Power Picks were great. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Yes, definitely tired. Lots of travels. Lots of travel time spent on the tarmac, as a lot of people heard with the software issues and all that good stuff. But good to get back into the norm, at least for 2 days, and then Wednesday get to head up and see you and a bunch of other buddies up at Saratoga. So very excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Our trip to Saratoga, as a bunch of us are going to be in Saratoga Springs this week. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit the like button as well, and also in the top right-hand corner of YouTube, please hit the notification bell so that you know when new content will arise. And no, I talked to Charlie on Sundays. Most people know we crushed right past 4,000 subs on our YouTube channel, man. It's a grind, but slowly but surely we're getting up there. It's pretty exciting. So we appreciate everyone's support. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. The Power Picks tip sheet. I got to update this now. Hold on a second. I'm going to update this in real time. Forget the 215 nonsense, because the Power Picks tip sheet, the one we get on Saturdays, has been on a roll. It's closer to 220 now. I'll have to get the exact number, but there's a horse in the last race Saturday at Del Mar that kicked that up a little bit, named Atitlan, that helped us. But anyway, the tip sheet is doing well. Go to our website, HHH Racing Podcast, to find out about our Saturday tip sheet, our Saratoga only Power Picks, and your Del Mar only Power Picks. Go ahead and check that out. You can sign up for those for weekends only on Monday through Thursday midnight. So please make sure you guys check that out. And of course, Matt Miller's new book. It's not that new anymore. A Better Way of Thinking at abetterwayofThinking.com. Looks like you got your edition behind you from Motivation, Noah, right?
Yep, right there.
There you go. I know you're pointing to your right, but it's on the left. And anyway,
I had to give it a little double check there.
Yeah, well, you seem to have that figured out right away. Let's see who's in the chat, Noah, live, and then we'll get into some recap and a bunch of things. Let's see. We've got Jim Miller is here. Michael Austin is here from California. I know he's excited about Del Mar Racing. Oh, look who's here. I know you want to, use a name with a D, but I don't think we should say that on YouTube. But what's up, Patrick? How you doing, man? Patrick will be joining us, right, at Saratoga, Noah?
Yep.
Yeah. Very exciting. Rodney Evans is here. Howard, I know you see them, Bob. I mean, I think he means Bob Baffert, 2-year-olds win easy. That's gonna be a common theme at Del Mar, won't it, Noah?
Yep. Yeah, it's we saw one this weekend. We'll probably see quite a few more, if I had to guess.
Jeff Amster wants to congratulate Matt Miller and Brad Anderson for dominating the free jockey contest game yesterday. That's awesome. Mike Saletta is here. Oh, look, another Saratoga buddy of ours, Brad Anderson. Good evening, Howard and Noah. The best recap show in the biz. Aw, thanks, Brad.
Brad knows what's up.
Brad knows what's up, and Brad, we can't wait to see you, man. Very excited for that. Let's see what else. Terry Frank is here as well. Terry, hi, everyone. Thanks for those Del Mar Power Picks. There you go. Big help, Noah and HHH. I'm looking forward to the meet and greet Saturday in Saratoga. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, Noah. But I know Terry sent you a nice email because of your Power Picks, Noah. I think he qualified for did well in a horse player contest, I believe.
He did. I think he either won or he qualified through horse players for one of the $500 ones. I think he said it's on Friday. But glad to help. The picks did all right this past weekend. The horses that I think I had 7 spot plays. I wrote 8, but one of them scratched. I think I had like 4 seconds and a third. So they all ran, pretty well. Just couldn't quite get a couple in there, but it was a decent weekend overall.
Pretty darn good. Michael Austin mentioned the Atitlan. What was your one horse?
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of that horse?
Broheim.
the Atitlan Broheim, you tipped out the second place finisher. Well, I think it was like
yeah.
what, 10-1? I think 10-1.
I think
And
eight, maybe eight or nine.
Went off at 8, and I tipped out the 35-1. Did I play the exacta? No, but I'll take a little win bet. That's okay. Thanks, Michael. All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna quickly go over some of the big races at Monmouth. We'll talk about the graded stake and the San Clemente at Damar, and then we'll give everyone a short preview of what's going on at Saratoga this week. As like I said, a bunch of us are gonna be traveling to Saratoga Springs. Some of us for the first time over there. I think everyone else has been there except you. So, and some fans too are going to be joining us for our little journey, especially towards the end of the trip. Chris Walsh is here. What's up, Chris? I'm Equine Edge. Appreciate the viewership, Chris. Please make sure you check out Equine Edge as well. All right, let's talk about the big one from the weekend, the Haskell. Noah, this I'll just call it like it is. Saturday was a complete, utter disaster for me. In every way, shape, or form until the last race at Santa Anita. Monmouth just kicked my butt. And I talked to a few people. I was watching races with Matt Miller. We were both involved in the Monmouth contest. When you're wrong, Noah. I don't know what your opinion of the race was. You didn't talk about Monmouth this week. I loved Mindframe. I didn't think Mindframe could lose. I just thought he was absolute stone cold cinch. In fact, he was 4-5, and I'm not afraid to say I made a fairly large win bet on him, large bet for me. And if people want to give me crap in the chat, that's fine. I thought 4-5 was value, Noah. I really did. I thought he should have been like 2-5, right? So if I think he should have been 2-5, then I'm getting twice the price, and I have no regrets. I was just flat out wrong. But let's talk about the race. I'll bring it up on the screen. The Haskell was won, of course, by Dornoch, and Dornoch paid $880, which is a hell of a, it's a healthy mutual, Noah, if you like Dornoch. For the second straight race, he wins a big race. He came off the Belmont. You can see the buyer here. Mindframe was second. He improved his buyer to 103. It's not like Mindframe ran poorly, Noah. I mean, he got a 101. Timberlake third. We're going to talk about this race in quite a bit of detail, Noah. Before we do that, let's give everyone your overall thoughts of the race before it happened. Who did you like in this race, and what were your ending thoughts, now that we saw the result, obviously?
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to play this race or any races at Monmouth. So this was kind of something that I had to pass up, unfortunately, but got to watch in depth. I think, obviously, it's a little obvious that Mindframe has these antics in the stretch that we've seen twice now. Once in the Belmont and a little bit of it here. But I think you have to give credit to Dornoch this time. I think the antics got Mindframe a little more in the Belmont. I thought he was a little more professional here. And I thought you had to give a little more credit to Dornoch just because he did show the fight that he's continued to. And he didn't have to do it. Sometimes these horses, when they get next to each other, they kind of fight. Dornoch just kind of gets that second gear regardless of who's around him. And he just gets down on the rail and he fights, man. He's a tough son of a gun.
So I just want to be clear before we watch the replay. You're giving more credit for Dornoch winning than degrading Mindframe for losing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I sort of feel the other way a little bit. I guess I'm giving short shrift to Dornoch, but we'll talk about it. Dornoch's the one, broke from the rail. Mindframe did not break great, Noah. And I'll tell you what. I've been doing this for 35 years, man, betting on these knucklehead four-legged animals running around in circles. The more I watch races every single year, the break is just more and more important to me. This break did not help Mindframe at all. He's the 7 horse here, and he just didn't break great. He was a little bit fidgety in the gate, and, he recovered fine. It's not like he stumbled. As we watch right here, you'll see, right there, he went to his nose a little bit. And what that did is it right there, then he gets bumped. And when you're talking about small margin for error, that's not good. Not only that, Tuscan Sky, oh boy, he really got pinched right here and was a complete non-factor. You see Tuscan Sky, the gray, the orange there, was just not a factor at all. And I was wondering what happened to Tuscan Sky. You see he's on his wrong lead back here. And no, he could he never got comfortable. But anyway, Dornoch broke fine, goes to the lead. Timberlake's here. So Mindframe, Ira takes from the inside. Right here, Noah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with where Mindframe is right now, right?
Yeah, no, that's the trip that I kind of imagine him getting, regardless of, whether he broke well or not. I figured he'd probably be in a similar spot.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit. I thought he'd be where Timberlake was, or I wanted him to be where
Maybe.
Timberlake was. I mean, I didn't see him being fourth in this race, but he is being comfortable. Now, I do want to say, Mindframe has really not taken dirt, Noah, in his career. And I think that's a big factor coming up here as we watch the race. And I haven't read info about why IRAD did what he did, but I'm guessing that was part of it. As we let it run here, Dornoch, 23-1, reasonable, under a quality hold. And Mindframe's in a perfect spot. I mean, Noah, you watch races all the time. In a 2-turn race, forget about the name of the horse or the odds. If you have a horse right here where Mindframe is, you would take that 95 times out of 100, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he's on the inside saving ground. They did go moderately up front, but with a horse as talented as Mindframe, Dornoch did get to slow it down a little bit. But when you got Mindframe, who's a very talented 3-year-old and seems to be kind of improving with every start, it seemed like a pretty good spot at that point in the race.
Now, here's the big question, Noah, and I'd love to hear people in the chat. I had a lot of people I heard and were not happy with IRAD going to the 4-path here, Noah. I don't know if he didn't want to take dirt or not, but instead of staying in the pocket here, Noah, where he could have saved ground, IRAD did go to the outside into the 4-path. I know we know the result, so now you can easily second guess. But what are your thoughts right here? If you liked Mindframe, are you happy with what IRAD did here, getting off the rail into the clear, but being a little wide?
I'm completely fine with it, just because I think Mindframe is a horse where you kind of have to get into him early, and he's one of those types where you'd like to have him either half a length from the leaders or pretty much on the lead at the top of the stretch, just because he's got that antic side to him where if you're trying to make up 2.5 lengths in the stretch and he starts to pull those antics like he did 2 starts back, there's no chance you're going to make up ground. But if you've got the lead at that point, maybe the horse is to your inside tire and you can kind of get the job done that way. So I thought it was a brilliant ride from IRAD.
I 100% agree. And again, I'd love to hear people in the chat. And Noah and I have not talked about this race together until literally right now. In fact, I told Noah before the show, I don't want to hear your opinion until we're online. If he stays on the inside, Noah, right now, okay, he's going to be where my, the cursor is, right? I think it's pretty clear he has nowhere to go at this point if he stays on the inside, right? Yes, he's saving ground, but maybe that's not where the horse is comfortable. So I read Tide's taking the outside, and I got to tell you what, right here, let me get through. Right here, he's 1-9 in my opinion. He actually has the lead right here, right? Mm-hmm. He already goes by Timberlake. He's relatively comfortable. I just don't quite understand why people have an issue with IRAD going a little bit wider here. I mean, if you have the horse to beat, get in the clear, right? And even at this point, Noah, if he stayed on the inside, I still think he has nowhere to go. Right now, mm-hmm. Maybe eventually he could have gotten outside of the 6. Maybe right now he could have tipped out. I mean, we'll never know, right? Because C Streak, the 8 was there. But I mean, he's got a lead right here. Now, this is where things get a little bit funky, Noah, because he clearly has the lead, right? And you can see my cursor. I would have liked to see him start doing this, right? Start mm-hmm. cutting over. And I'm not saying cut off Dornoch, but he's got the lead. This started getting me a little bit worried. Where is he going, Noah? Why go 5 wide? He didn't take the turn well. He's losing ground here, right? He should have been right here where the cursor is?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts here?
Well, we know that IRAD is notorious for being a very strong and aggressive rider. So, if he was capable, he would have, grabbed the reins and thrown him over to the left and gotten him next to Dornoch. But, I mean, we've touched on it. I mean, Mindframe just has this problem, and that split 1.5 seconds could have been what cost him. I can't disagree with a statement like that.
A lot of people in the chat are saying they have no issue with Irad's ride. That I'm glad to hear that, because I heard a bunch of people say, "What is he doing? He should have stayed in the pocket." Blah blah blah. In fact, Marco Liu, thanks Marco, is suggesting he's maybe not a 2-turn horse. I'm not sure about that, but look, he's got some goofiness to him, Noah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Now, even with the wide trip, right? I still feel pretty good. He's got a lead right here, doesn't he? I mean, it's I'd say he's got a. We don't know exactly. He probably has a neck lead at this point.
Head, yeah.
But now we got issues, Noah. He's just not going on with it. And this is where I do give Dornoch credit. Dornoch is fighting back. And, unlike the Belmont where he sort of rebroke, right, and made it closer, he didn't really do it here in a race that's even shorter. And I don't know if Dornoch ever really saw Mindframe, or I don't think they saw each other, Noah, really. I think they're just too far apart at this point. And Dornoch wins by, I mean, that's more than a length, Noah. So yeah. I guess the big question is, what do you do with Mindframe here? Obviously, hats off to Dornoch. I mean, congratulations, amazing. Another great win. He's the leader in the clubhouse right now for the 3-year-olds.
Gotta be, yeah.
I would have been shocked if you told me that several months ago. What do you do with Mindframe, Noah?
That's a good question. One that maybe Todd Pletcher can't even answer. But I think you have to go back to the shed. Todd will probably try some equipment just like Chad Brown did with our boy Sierra Leone. He'll try the blinkers. I've seen that as a recommendation a lot on Twitter. Maybe he'll try the. I've seen some where they do the half, where they kind of keep them.
The cheater. They're called cheater blinkers. Yeah, cheater cup.
Yeah. But it's probably some kind of equipment's going to help him at some point. He's got plenty of talent to compete with the 3-year-olds that we've seen so far. He's just got to get out of his own way.
Great question by Trish Smith. Who's more talented? Just talented, Sierra Leone or Mindframe?
I had a feeling this question was going to come up.
Thanks, Trish.
And I hate to go against our boy, but I think Mindframe's ceiling is higher.
Okay.
I think if you think about the great dirt horses that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years, I think he fits the style rather than Sierra Leone. I mean, some of the better dirt horses that we've seen of recent don't come from where Sierra Leone does. And I think that alone makes it really tough for him to be as good as some of the greats that we've seen. And I think you have to factor in that Mindframe. I mean, that's only his 4th start. So, maybe a little harsh on him at this point in his career, and certainly some room for improvement.
Here's what I would do. First of all, I have no doubt with Mindframe. Dornoch's going to the Travers. I would definitely go to the Travers with Mindframe. I know it's 1.25 miles. He might have distance concerns. I'm starting to get worried about that, Noah, because like Sierra Leone is goofy also, but he keeps coming. I'm not sure Mindframe keeps coming, right? Like in the same way. So I do have some distance concerns. I know that means I'm being hypocritical by saying you should go to the Travers, but it's the damn Travers. I think you put blinkers on Noah, you ride him aggressively and give him one more shot. If he doesn't fire in the Travers, meaning like top 2, and he clearly doesn't get the distance, I start thinking Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, if it were me, and try to point him to, I think he can handle 2-turn races, but maybe 1 mile dirt races. I mean, he could be a complete monster going 1 mile, dirt races, whether it's 1 or 2 turns. I don't think he's a Breeders' Cup Classic threat right now, and I really thought he was before this weekend. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty
as of
accurate.
This moment.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, it is worth noting that the mile at Del Mar is 2 turns, obviously.
Right.
So if you do go to the Travers and things don't quite work out, what you do is you probably rest him. You get him a prep, either at Belmont or Aqueduct. I never know with the Belmont at Aqueduct or wherever they're running at this point these days. But you probably get some kind of 1-turn mile prep in there, and then maybe go to the Breeders' Cup mile. So that might be a very logical way to go.
Yeah, I hope he improves and figures it out. No, we want talented horses, obviously, out there. But we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. But Dornoch again continues to. I gotta say, I'm not sure Dornoch is a real serious Breeders' Cup Classic threat right now either. These 3-year-olds are just.
Man.
Yeah, and next week we're gonna see some two
Yeah.
guys we saw at the Derby, right? Plus, and
Yeah.
sees the gray, and sees the gray.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, the Jim Dandy is a small field, a field of 6, but it's a real nice field. Let's quickly talk about the United Nations, because there's a horse that I want to just mention that was on our power picks that I think is interesting. The United Nations was a big upset. Get Smokin' over Grand Sonata over Tawny Port in a very close finish. Get Smokin' wires the field. But Noah, what this race proves to me, got a 98 buyer. What this race proved to me is just, again, the American distance turf horses, they're just nothing special, man. They're just not. And, the Godolphin horses is clearly better. Your boy is better. I'll let you talk about that one. But when you talk about the biggest race in this country, just the Americans just in general are just not good enough. And, Chads aren't quite good enough yet. This was upset. I really, really, really like Dataman in this spot. I'm going to talk about it, but Get Smokin' wins this one, Noah. And when you look at the chart, whoops, let me go to the chart. I mean, the horses that were first, second, and fifth in the first 3 calls were 1, 2, 3. It was just a hard race to close, and Get Smokin' wired the field.
Yeah, and when I was watching a replay and I saw the half-mile time pop up, I was like, these horses didn't get there. And Get Smokin' had kind of opened it up. And a lot of times in these distance races, some of the jocks just kind of let that horse go, thinking that they're going to come back. But nobody was really running in the last, quarter, half mile of the race. And it's not like Get Smokin' was really running either. I mean, he's on his left lead. He's lunging at the wire, and he was just fortunate enough to get the bob. And then Grand Sonata, who we had seen at Gulfstream over the winter and is not really, at the top of the charts in terms of distance horses, was really the only one making up ground. So if you take that into perspective, then, it's, in terms of Americans, it's really nothing special.
I'm going to pat myself on the back, Noah, and give myself the freeze frame of the year. That was pretty good stoppage of the video right there.
Yeah, I'll give you credit for that.
All right, I mean, throw me a bone at least, Lloyd. No, I mean, come on now. I'll tell you who ran this gray. This gray ran a monster race, Dataman. And I'm not just saying that because it was a power pick tip sheet play. People need to pay attention. You need to watch replays. Congrats to Grand Sonata. Unbelievable ride. Get Smokin' ran great. Tawny Port, man, he's had some brutal beats. Even Emmanuel, the 2, showed a surprising close. I didn't think he had that in him, but I want everyone to pay attention to Dataman, the 7. We're going to go back. Dataman was supposed to be more mid-pack, Noah. Again, you talk about the break. He didn't break great. And even in a long distance race, he took a little bobble right there. It didn't break wonderfully. And look at the hold. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be in last. This is a huge hold, and he gets into trouble a little bit here. You see he's got a monster hold, and I didn't like it when he was here. But watching this, I made a big bet on this horse. No, right here, I was like, oh, boy. He's bottled up. I want to show everyone the hands of Ruiz. I don't know if you can tell he's like up in the stirrups here, Noah. I mean, look. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Look at this. Absolutely nowhere to go. A complete stranglehold, right? Bottled up. This is not a good place to be. It continues on into the turn. Again, he's right here, a Dataman. I mean, look at this. Now, you see he stood up right there a little bit? He stood up there. I mean, this is just complete nightmare. He's there. He finally gets out of this hole. I'll go ahead and fast forward. He finally got to the outside. You're going to see the gray on the outside. He finally gets to the outside, but they walked a little bit. And now it's too late, really. And he still made up ground, Noah. And with all that, I mean, he finishes right there, 2 lengths back. And when you look at the incremental pace, let me show that. Here's the final, the final 8th here, Noah, if you can see that. Emmanuel and Dataman both had a final 8th and 11.91, even faster than the winner Grand Sonata. So again, Noah, we talk about replays. That's a replay special. I don't think Dataman could beat the Godolphins like in a big race, but there's a grade stake with Dataman's name on it, Noah. I firmly believe it.
Yeah, I kind of have a question for you. With Dataman, did you kind of blame that on the break? Not that I dislike Jorge Ruiz, but I've bet him a couple times and I wasn't necessarily thrilled with some of the rides that he's given. Not that he's a bad rider, But, would you blame that on the break? Would you blame that a little bit on race riding, or what would you kind of say there?
Circumstances.
Yeah,
I don't know
misfortune.
what else he could have done. What is he when you run over horses and clip
Yeah.
heels and go down? I mean, bad luck. I know that's a horrible thing to say for a handicapper,
Yeah.
but there is luck involved in this game. The break hurt him. I thought he'd be more mid pack, and then he just didn't know where to go. It's just bad luck. But I think he's got.
Yeah, you just don't know in some of those races if they're able to use a little more if they break.
I don't think it was the post.
No.
It was the 7. No.
It's possible that he maybe could have used a little bit more to kind of get into better position, but you don't know if he would have had that late kick at the end of the race. So it's a little hard to tell.
Pratt was Pratt at Saratoga on Saturday?
Was he at Monmouth? He was at Monmouth. I thought he was at Monmouth because
he must have been riding someone else, right? He had to be riding someone else in that race. I mean, he had to have. I don't know. I got to go back and look now. Now you're gonna Al. You're gonna make me go look. That's okay. Pratt was on Tawnyport. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Who was the more established horse in his Clement? So there you go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got no problem with it. It's just bad luck. Let's talk about the. It'll be interesting to see what those horses do. They're just not Grade 1 animals, right? Noah, your boy. Talk about your boy in the turf. Who's I don't know where he's going next.
I don't know. I haven't really heard from Charlie Appleby, but Silver Knot going back to the Keeneland meet over the spring. Silver Knot ran in the Elkhorn, I believe, and he was a decent price. I think he was like 5 or 6 to 1. Boldak was a big favorite in that race, and Silver Knot just kind of sat off the lead and ran a really big race. I was very happy that day, but I wasn't sure that he could do it again. And then he came back at Belmont, beat another Appleby in Nation's Pride, and it wasn't like it was close. It was a good, 3.5, 4 length win. And that really kind of solidified my confidence in him. So it'll be interesting if we see him somewhere at Saratoga or hopefully the Breeders' Cup, because I won't be betting with my head. I'll be betting with my heart in a race like that.
There is a big race. The Bowling Green is Sunday at Saratoga. I don't know if the entries, as I'm speaking, I want to see if the entries came out for Sunday. It's a Grade 3, I believe. I'm not sure he'd be in that race, but it is a prep for the Sword Dancer later. Let me see. No, the entries are not out yet. So Paul Halloran, line 1 to Godolphin. See where Silver Knot is going next. We'll see. Now let's go to Del Mar real quick. Del Mar opening weekend, man. It's where the surf meets the turf. You're covering it for our Power Picks tip sheet. You had a solid weekend. Nice turf races. And the major turf race on Saturday was the Grade 2 San Clemente. Let's go ahead and talk about that one briefly. I Scream, You Scream wins at, 6 to 5 with Barrios. Nice 3-year-old filly. Just went to the lead. There's really not much to show other than the importance of tactical speed. How good is this horse, Noah?
I think this horse is the goods. I remember looking at this race, and shout out to our good friend Kyle Roscoe, who also had this horse on top on our Wednesday Betting and Boozing show. On paper, this race was supposed to have a lot of speed. They went sub 23 for their first quarter, which I thought was pretty quick, did slow it down a little bit. But once the 9 Zona Verde kind of got to I Scream, You Scream, even though she was on the wrong lead, and then she switched there, she just had that, little burst to kind of kick away again in the last 100, 150 yards. And Mandoro, again, who was a really nice filly who was undefeated going into that race, came with a nice late run, and those three kind of separated themselves from the rest. But you got to give credit to I Scream, You Scream, who showed that she was capable of doing it on the stretch out, and Barrios with a very masterful ride for Phil D'Amato.
It's not easy to wire the field in the early part of the Del Mar meet, as you well know. It's very lush.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's very lush turf, and so this was impressive. My main question is twofold. One, Noah, can she stretch out even more? And number two, could she compete against some of Chad's or some of the East Coast 3-year-old fillies, or is she better just keeping this horse on the, for a little Red Feather and Phil D'Amato, keeping this horse on the West Coast and just trying to continue to go that route? What would you do if you own this horse?
Probably keep her here just because the Breeders' Cup is in your own backyard, so it doesn't really make a ton of sense to ship out and then ship back. he'll probably run her later in the. There's a filly race later in the meet. I don't know if it's a mile and a 16th or a mile and an 8th, but that'll answer the question if she can go longer. She reminds me a lot of a horse last year named Conclude, who actually ran yesterday in a big turf race. And I believe she proved that she could go the mile, and then she went even further and won her race after that. So if for the California fans who are kind of looking for some comparisons, she's one that is very familiar to me.
My only concern is she's not really getting faster as of now. Now, you said something very interesting. You said the Breeders' Cup is at Del Mar. Are you suggesting she go into a Breeders' Cup race, or are you just like an undercard race? Or are you just? I wasn't sure why you brought that up.
Probably undercard. I don't know if she's good enough now to run in a Breeders' Cup race.
No, I don't think so.
Just because I think there's some pretty damn good older fillies that are, and especially 3-year-olds that we saw last weekend. One of them was actually my girl Pounce. So shout out Resolute Racing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of 3-year-old fillies that are very good in that division. I don't even know if she can run with them, let alone the older horses. So probably more like an undercard race.
Any other final thoughts in general about Del Mar this weekend? It was opening weekend. I want to say something a little bit completely nutso. I'm assuming Trevor Denman's okay. His voice was breaking in some of the calls on Saturday. I don't know if he was hoarse or was sick, or I don't know. I mean, I know he's getting up there in age a little bit, and I love Trevor. I don't know if you noticed, picked up on that. I don't know. Was he sick? Did you hear what happened? I don't know.
No, I don't know because he did. It didn't really seem like he kind of had that energy that he normally does, especially on opening day, because the first race was one of the few that I actually watched on Saturday because I was, busy with family matters. And it just didn't kind of seem like, Frank Miramati, when he called the first race at Saratoga, he had all that loud energy. He was moving his voice up and down, and Frank was just kind of, or sorry, not Frank. Trevor was just kind of meh. So yeah, I didn't hear anything. It's a little disappointing just because he's such an idol for me, growing up at Del Mar and just listening to him call races. So hopefully everything's all right with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be. I love the guy. I think Father Time catches up with all of us, as I've realized on the golf course recently. But bad back doesn't quite help that either. But anyway, Racing Down wins here. Dave Duncan, good evening. Nice debut with the Del Mar Power Picks. Noah, keep up the good work from Dave Duncan.
Thank
Dave,
you, sir.
Appreciate that. Let's end the show. Last 5 minutes or no about this week. This week, there's a whole bunch of us going to Saratoga. Let's see. From the podcast will be myself. Matt Miller is not a host, but he's a part. He's the podcast family. In terms of host, co-host, myself, you are making your very first visit to Saratoga. Patrick Hunzel will be there as well. Paul Halloran will be there towards the end of this. He'll be there for the weekend. Let's see. Who else am I missing from the podcast in particular? Matt Miller. So Brad Anderson, BCBC crew is going to be there. Jim Pilars is going to be there. He's in the chat. He was on the show. Jim Pilars will be there. Philly Joe Mecca, a good friend who you haven't met yet. You saw him at no, you haven't met Philly Joe.
Haven't met him.
You're in Philly Joe's. Philly Joe's a lot of fun. Anyway, it's going to be a big. Matt Miller's brother's going to be there. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fantastic trip. I mentioned Brad already, right? Brad Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be a great trip. For someone who's never been to Saratoga, Noah, from what you've heard, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a little story from my point of view. My dad, his best friend growing up, who was kind of like not like my blood uncle, but they were such good friends and we hung out with them so much. He was Uncle Dean. Dean was his name to me. And he was a guy that my dad kind of got him into horse racing, and he kind of became a little bit of a sicko like we all did. And he made a couple trips up to Saratoga. And when he came back, he was like, this is the best track that I've ever been to. And ever since I heard that story, I've been always wanting to go up. Unfortunately, we lost him, quite a while ago. I think it's almost 10 years now. So it's a little I hate to end it on a negative note, but ever since I kind of heard that, I've been kind of to want to go back there and in a way, kind of have that connection with him, and kind of hopefully when I'm there, I can kind of have that, comparison that he had and that he was able to experience. And I'm very fortunate that I have been with this podcast for a year or a little over a year now, and I get to go with you guys, with my second family, as I like to say, and hopefully we'll be adding a couple more people to that family as well, including Jim Pilars and hopefully the great people that we get to see, whether it be at the Jim Dandy Bar. We haven't figured that out yet, but I know it's going to be a great time, and I can't wait for it to happen.
Actually, we have figured that out. No, I'll talk about it in a second. I get chills, man. I really appreciate you sharing that story. You'll put a few bets down for Uncle Dean, and his spirit will be with you there at Saratoga. Oh, yeah. It's an amazing place. I believe Del Mar is your favorite track. Is that, or is Keeneland now? What's your favorite track? Tough call.
I gotta stick with my roots. I gotta go with Del Mar. Keeneland is nothing to sneeze at. If you haven't been,
all right,
definitely go. For people in the chat that haven't been, and too. But I gotta go with the roots.
I'm not sure what my favorite is right now. It's so damn close, but I think Saratoga is going to be right up there, Noah, once you're there. It's just there's so many great things about it, and we can't wait for you to see it. Plus, we're going to be on the backside as well and be able to go into some barns and see some horses. And the weather looks a little shaky at the early part of the week, like Wednesday, Thursday looks a little meh. But for right now, Friday, Saturday, Sunday looks fantastic, and it's going to be great. Yeah, Chris Walsh is nice story, Noah, from Chris Walsh. And yeah, it's a special place. And so let's talk about Jim Dandy real quick. So anyone that's going to be there at Saratoga this week, our whole group, including Paul Halloran and Jim Pilars, who are getting there a little bit later in the week, our whole group will be at the Jim Dandy Bar, which is in the grandstand, from like race 1 to race 2 on Saturday. So we're going to be there. Our group's going to be there for many days starting Wednesday. Not everyone. I know you and Patrick won't be at the track till Thursday, but a bunch of us will be there Wednesday. But in terms of meet and greets, I'll be the Jim Dandy Bar Saturday, race 1 to race 2. Come on out. We'll share some beverages, share some stories, have a good time. Again, I'll be emailing that to everyone as well, and we'll be in different parts of the track, Noah, throughout the week. I'll just throw one more question, Noah. When you go to a new track and it's a big weekend, what are you most looking forward to other than the obvious of seeing your second family? Is like, what does the paddock look like? What is the front side? What are the grandstands? Like, how's the food? You want to see great horses. Like, is there something that when you first time at a track you're looking forward to jumps out at you, what you're really looking forward to?
Yeah. So whenever I would go to the track as a young kid, we would just kind of sit in the grandstand, and I always used to watch the races pretty much right from the rail, as close to the finish line as I could get. So even when I went to Keeneland for the first time, I try one of the first couple races to go and watch it from the rail, because it just kind of brings back those memories of kind of watching them cross the wire at that high speed. And it's what kind of made me fall in love with this game, which, you have, and other people have different stories of how they got into it. But for me, it just kind of allows me to reminisce in a way. And so I'll probably be doing that one of the first couple of days one of the first couple of races, that were there at the spa on Thursday.
Yeah. I think you need to have a drink from the Big Red Spring. Patrick knows what I'm talking. People in the chat might know if you've been to Saratoga. No, you'll have to have a drink from the Big Red Spring and see what you see how it tastes. You'll tell us what you think.
I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm very enticed.
You're gonna find out, my friend. And I will say we are going to be close to the rail. Where? Let's just keep that between us right now. But you will be inches away from the rail, Noah. I guarantee it. Most of the weekend.
Will I be able to give my boy Pratt a high five?
If he takes his horse out to the rail, yes, yes, you will. But you'll see him in the paddock, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Here, Jim Pillar, sulfur water. It's sulfur water. Do you know what that tastes like, Noah? I was like, what the hell? Yeah,
I'm not as excited as I was.
It's gonna be interesting, Noah. Look, appreciate your time. It's gonna be very excited. We're going to be at Saratoga. You're going to get a first experience of it. Again, we're going to be there from Wednesday at the track from Wednesday to Sunday. We'll be in different spots, but if you want to have our meet and greet, we'll again be at the Jim Dandy Bar Saturday, race 1 to race 2. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Let me put our closing banner on the bottom of the screen here. It's been a lot of fun. Again, we have shows Wednesday and Thursday as usual. I will not be on the show Thursday. Kyle's going to be hosting shows Wednesday and Thursday. Paul will be on the show Thursday. And last thing, Noah, oh my goodness, how did I forget? Last thing, everyone. Next Saturday, this Saturday, the plan right now is 4 p.m. Eastern, Noah. We will have a live 1 hour show from our seats. From where we're going to be, Noah, a live show from Saratoga, approximately 4 p.m. Eastern. Check out the YouTube channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do some handicapping. We're going to have some beverages in our hand and in front of us. Check out our live Saratoga show from the rail Saturday, approximately 4 p.m. Eastern, Noah. You're going to have a few beverages, right? It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You'll have a Diet Coke. A Diet Coke in your hand, Noah, right? Yeah. Diet Coke?
For the show, at least. I don't know about...
All right.
I'm not supposed to disclose that information.
Exactly. Well, sorry, we'll keep that on the DL. I shouldn't have put you in that position. Anyway, for my good friend and co-host Ben Boozin and author of the wonderful Del Mar Only Power Picks, Noah Maher, this has been your host Howard Kravitz, episode 29 of Horsin Around. Crush your bets this week and especially at the spa this week. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.